Hi everybody and welcome back to the channel. So we covered battleships the other day and I got a few comments, or a good number of comments, asking for some of the larger ships. Now I'm going to keep this one relatively short compared to the last one, so we'll jump straight into it. So you may have seen this website on Talking in Stations, and I took a look at it and it's quite an interesting calculator, as it gives you the dev version, the Tranquility version. Now the dev version is obviously the current build coming out, coming up. We've put in the Morris here. We've got base ME10, component ME10, R10 because it's nullsec, and facilities tax of 0 just to make life interesting. And we can see here that the current price for the Morris, or I say the price of the Morris after the patch will be in the region of 6 billion. Now, bearing in mind that 6 billion is including all the new or current existing items that are required, but none of the new BPOs that will be required, so it doesn't actually calculate them. So the people stating that it's probably going to be around about the 9-10 billion mark, probably pretty much spot on, to be perfectly honest, looking at this. And even if minerals do drop, which I do stick with, after this patch goes live, these minerals will drop, but this comes to about 4 billion ISK at the moment just for the minerals. Now, if the Morris is obviously 10 billion ISK around, then the mineral cost is 4 billion. It's making up less than 50%, whereas obviously now it makes up 100%. Now, assume these mineral prices drop by half. I'm not saying they will, but assuming they do, then obviously your build cost for minerals is 2 billion instead of 4. So that would take us down by 2 billion to 8 billion ISK build cost, which is obviously a substantial increase from where we are now. I thought that was really interesting because, I say, the reason I didn't look, and again, the reason we're doing this now is because a lot of people did request that we had a look at the larger ships. Now, I focused on battleships because the vast majority of us are either in high sec or have access to building battleships, and it's one of the easier things to crank out, where obviously in order to be able to do supercats, titans and capital ships is a bit harder. You need the blueprints and again facilities in order to be able to crank them out. So the vast majority of people watching this channel, I dare say, aren't cranking out 15 titans a week, so it wasn't really relevant, but I thought just for having a look it would be incredibly interesting. And so say, yeah, the increase in price for dreadnoughts at the moment is massive. Now for the carrier, it's not quite as bad. Again, do bear in mind that this isn't including all these new bits, and again, I'm not going to go through and quantify all these like I did for the battleship, because the battleship I already had access to the numbers where it's too much working out, and I don't build carriers, etc., so it's not worth the time to work it out. But just at face value, the carrier the very minimum will be 3.7 billion. Add in the extra materials and you're probably looking at about another 2.5 billion ISK, so potentially carriers could be going for 6-7 billion ISK, which is nuts when all said and done. So again, with the Nix, same principle, at a very, well, not at the minimum, but basically what we can calculate at the moment is coming out at 61 billion ISK, which is obviously a hefty increase from where we are, but that's not including any of the newer items, so expect that price again to go up quite drastically. And again, the mineral breakdown for this isn't that insane. We're looking at what, about 24 billion ISK, so yeah, at the moment obviously that is high because mineral prices are high, but say 24 divided by 2 get 12. You're still looking at a very expensive super carrier. And again, exactly the same for the Titans. These are going to be absolutely nuts. So as it currently stands, we are looking at 266 billion ISK. Now, that is from current buy prices pretty much, not sell prices. So, and again, not including any of the new materials, same with all the other ships, but that is insane and does put some dampers on some of the plans I had to get an avatar, which is slightly disappointing, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing for the game. And you've got a lot of people, obviously upset. Ticked off, maybe, that obviously if they were in the same position that I was in, but we were gearing up to buy one, then obviously it has moved quite a considerable amount of distance away from us. So even without the new components, 266 billion plus the new components, you could be looking at 500 billion ISK, or 400 billion. That's a hefty increase from obviously where we are now, where you could pick an avatar up for 60-70 billion ISK. If you got one built for you. So yeah, that is going to be quite hefty and quite painful, and it was probably needed for the game, and the increase in skill points, etc., that now you need to be able to build these ships, I think is a welcome, especially from an industrial point of view. If you were into industry, it makes absolutely no sense that let's have a look. This is a relatively new character. So in order to fly an avatar, it would not to fly one, but basically to sit in one, it will take me 449 days. Now that is literally just to sit in it without any of the, and I've got some of these skills as well, but so just to sit in it, so not including capital guns or doomsdays or being able to tank anything, just physically being able to sit in an avatar will take me 450 days from where I currently start. Now, in comparison, I can build an avatar with 104 days of training. So the difference there, so basically I have the skills and knowledge to be able to physically construct a Titan in 104 days, but I can't actually sit in one until I've done 450 days training. And this is why, now I'm not saying that obviously it needs to be near or even close, but in order to fly an avatar, you're looking at literally two good years of solid training, where to physically construct it, I can be doing it in just over 3 months. So that is, it's nice to have the added complexity now that you have to at least train a decent amount of skills to be able to build an end game ship, and that you can't just do it in a couple of months worth of training. You're going to have to actually physically dedicate time into being able to now being able to produce a Titan. And again, I think from an industrial point of view, that has been needed for a lot of ships, because it's been far too easy to build ships because they've only required minerals. Yeah, you need to construct the capital components, but again, they're all made out of minerals. And now that we have other sources and more skills, it does mean that industry has become an actual career path that it was in the past and is now coming back to being. And I think that is really good from an industrial standpoint, that now you've got more focus and not everybody can just be able to pump out their own ships. You'll need to dedicate time, a lot of time, in order to be able to build ships now. And again, I think that can only be a good thing. So I did say I was going to keep this short, and that is under 10 minutes. So for me, that is relatively short. So I hope that was interesting. I will link the Eve Cookbook website in the description of this video if you want to go check it out. Again, do bear in mind that obviously, as I said, it is missing the new component parts. So it isn't 100% accurate or anywhere near, but it gives you a rough idea to with what we can calculate at the moment, how much it's going to, how much at the very minimum it's going to be. So these outlandish claims that supercarriers and Titans were going to be X, Y, and Z are pretty much probably quite well founded. Whereas, as I said, the battleships in the last video are unlikely to rise from where they are, and again, I expect quite a massive drop. And with that, thanks for your time, fly safe, and talk to you soon.